Hello there, this is my longer overview video of the Structures pack, the alpha version of it. And unfortunately, I had the most amazing opening here, which was ruined by weird recording problems, where this structure decided to spawn directly next to me, and over here, one of the rarest structures in the pack decided to spawn, the magical ore tree. Yeah, it's just kind of like a fun little thing that then the game decided to freeze up on me and be really rude. Anyway, yeah, this is a longer, more casual, I guess, just discussion about it. Where should I start? Well, I probably should start by talking about what's different about this than the previous video. So, let us go into spectator mode and ruin the nice music that's apparently playing in the background and just float about like a ghost, I guess, and have the beep of my keyboard being broken. Anyway, so what's different? So you'll notice a very familiar pattern on the bottom of the world where it still uses the same, well, a very similar system of placing down barriers at the bottom of the world to use a sort of binary, is it bedrock or is it a barrier? If it's a barrier, don't spawn anything there. If it's bedrock, then spawn something, I guess. Or more like do the binary check, I guess. Ooh, fancy. So one of the things that is new is that I no longer use bedrock as the random value stuff. That was one of the terrible limitations I had with the previous version, is there was very little customizability. But now, if I really wanted to, here, let me grab this from the README just as a copy and paste thing. So now I've got these, which are configurable values, where the player can set them to varying amounts to have those different types of structures spawn, which I demonstrated in the tutorial and whatnot, that you can actually set them to negative values, and so at a negative value it won't spawn at all. Here, let me show something terrible. This is gonna lag the video like really badly, but you know, I'm gonna do something stupid. Ooh, this is really stupid, actually. You know what? It's stupid, but I'm doing it. You can't stop me. I might actually have to pause the video and come back, because this is gonna get crusty real fast. So every single chunk is now going to attempt to generate a structure. It's gonna get slow. It's gonna get sluggish, but this is actually a good demonstration that the more structures you're trying to spawn, the slower the game runs. Oh yeah, we're starting to see them pop in. So yeah, don't max it out. In fact, you might actually want to have less structures than what the default value of 8 is. So that's 8, I think, is like a 1 in 512 chance that a chunk will have a structure in it. Oh boy. So if I then set that to like 1, just to lower it back down, let the game calm down. We'll start seeing. Oh boy. Yep. Oh boy. Here it comes. Oh dear goodness me. This is actually a good way to see this. This dungeon is surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, but generally quite rare. It you know, it spawns a couple rooms in. Some spawn longer than others. That's just part of the randomness of it. Some can actually generate basically all the way to the bottom of the world. Luckily, I did find a way to keep it from generating through bedrock. So that's good, I guess. You can actually see kind of some of the weird way chunks load in. Dear goodness, what have I done? So yeah, that's one cool thing. Actually, I can sort of board objective set display sidebar, which one? Random one should be a good one. I can actually demonstrate, so it basically uses a form of, I guess you'd consider it binary randomizer now. So basically there are two randomizer entities I use that So it randomly selects between the two. Oh my gosh. Look at that. All of those dungeons. There were so many spawning here. Actually, let me just... I just realized the video is going to be really dark if I don't... Can we... Please? There we go. Yeah. This can get to be quite extensive if... I mean, again, there's like 3 spawned on each other, but that's really cool. But anyway, no, sorry, let me actually keep explaining the thing I'm talking about. So it's a form of binary type randomizer. So the first value it randomizes, there's a 50-50 chance it'll pick the entity. So, well, it sets both to 0. Then it will randomly set one or add 1 to one of them, then randomly add 2 to one of them, and then 4, and then 6, then 18. So it randomizes between values like 0 and 511, or 0 and 15. You know, those are the kinds of randomizers that this can indeed provide with this setup. So that's one major improvement from the previous version. Another major improvement, which you will see over here, is biome detection. So previously, it just picked whatever block was below it, that's the biome. Now it actually gets a sample of about like 5 tiles, 15 tiles around it, and picks the biome based on that. But alongside that, now if it spawns where a tree has been, or on top of a tree, so previously it wouldn't detect things like trees. And the reason for that is it would have just put the structure on top of the tree, and that would have looked weird. Now it lands the structure down to the ground and then spawns it in place. So that means you can have dark oak type forests and no problem whatsoever. It even works in jungles, though jungles are already laggy enough as it is without this pack. Having this pack in a jungle is a bit of a problem. Come on, I need a better example than this. This one looks like it's in a good spot. Oh, well, yeah, it spawned on trees, sort of. Here's a really good example. The giant mushroom I added into the game. Yeah. That would have previously never been able to spawn like that. Also, one thing that comes along with this is village detection. You don't see it here, but if it happened to detect logs, I think logs count, pathways, stairs, that kind of stuff, if it detects those type of tiles, it will not spawn. Well, I do have a little tower that spawns in villages that's like very non-destructive, but you know, if you're making a custom pack, you can just set it to not mess with the villages. What else? So I would consider efficiency of this pack a little better than the previous version, but at the same time I added so many features that it's also not really that much more efficient. That's actually one thing I do want help with, is I hope other data pack programmers, I guess, scripters, coders, whatever you want to be called, data packers, data miners, sorry, if I could get some help to optimize this pack. There's a lot of little things I'm not quite aware of that could be impacting performance way more than I'm expecting. I know for sure that me using spread players as much as I do for things like chunk loading is definitely something that's impacting the efficiency, and I would like to cut down on those kinds of things. So there's a couple things I know I can optimize, but there's a couple of things I didn't realize until basically I decided I just want to release this as an alpha version, such as I'm assuming that detecting an entity by name, that's technically a string comparison, which means I'm assuming the longer the name, the more inefficient it is, and so I should probably be shortening names and all the kinds of stuff like that. Yeah, so that kind of stuff would be very helpful. There's a lot of little things like that they're little, but for every single structure and every single line that it runs, it would be good to have faster. Oh yeah, another feature you've probably noticed as I've flown around is that caves underground can now spawn. Whoa, this is a really interesting one. Yeah, underground can now spawn various biomes and dungeons and things. Okay, so these kinds of structures, these massive randomly generated ones, which this one's huge. Yeah, that's a lot of commands that has to be run. So if I could even optimize how the structure itself runs, that would be good. The mushroom biome and the islands both run off of about the same logic, so optimizing one will optimize the other. Also, of course, one thing that is better in this version of the pack is I've added basically every biome I can detect has a structure attached to it for demonstration purposes. Obviously I would like, you know, my own pack to have more structures, because these are a lot of these structures, like these towers for instance, these are straight up from the old one years ago. That old pack I made, well, not old pack, but the old command block version of this I made. Some of these are new, which are nice. These look good in forests, I feel. Yeah, I need to make the pack modular so more people can also add their own. But I'll get to the things that it can't do in a moment. Another of the things that I guess I could say fixed or improved. Whoa, what in the world's going on over here? Oh, it's one of these. Oh wow, that's cool. It's like a set of ruins the way that looks. Sorry about all the sidetracking. I mean, it's definitely something that I enjoy looking at, which is why I think other people might hopefully be. Ooh, rare texture. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that could happen. My pack accidentally got rid of the snow on top of a snow block. Okay, sorry. Yeah, sidetracking a lot here. Oh, cool. What are these? These are separate from those. What the? Oh, no, never mind. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to show off, but also a lot to distract myself with. So, one of the flaws of the old version of this is that... Ooh, another rare structure! Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. I hardly ever find these. This is a really amazing video so far, between, like, the spawn point and... Yeah, everything. Sorry, I'm just a little ecstatic today. Anyway, so previously this was tied to render distance. So if you lowered your render distance below something like 8, I think, or if you had your render distance up really high, well, I think if the render distance was low, it was sort of fine, but it was a little glitchy. But if it was high, you would see them spawning in the distance. Now, if your computer can handle it, you can have your render distance as high as you want, and the game will keep up with it. All of where the chunks are sort of spawning in isn't player radius dictated anymore. So it goes to the edge of the loaded chunks now, which is a lot better than it used to be, and also I think a little more efficient and more stable, because one of the issues that brought in the previous version is sometimes you could outrun the spawning of the structures. Now you can sort of half do that. You can get to a point where you've loaded so many that it's the little tick thing up here is loading really, really slowly, and you can sort of outrun it where the game basically cripples for a moment, and they won't seem like, it seems like they've stopped spawning, but if you stop and just let them load in, they will start appearing at the edge of the well, not the edge, but they'll start just, it'll catch up eventually. It's just, the longer you outrun it, it's just the laggier the game gets, which, that's, one thing that this video makes it out to be as though, you know, you get to a certain point and the game just starts lagging massively. Oh boy. Sorry, I've got a new old keyboard. It's bad. I need to replace it. If you're running about in the overworld, or if you're in a boat, you're not gonna have these loading issues. If you can see in the distance, it's loading up just fine. It's not getting sluggish. It's not getting messed up. There's this really, really weirdly abrupt cliff. Good job, Minecraft, I guess. I don't know. I'm really distracted today, apparently. My keyboard is garbage and beeps at me if I do things that I'm used to doing, which is pressing many buttons at once. Yeah, you see, it. That's just fine. It's just flying around. You're moving so fast that the game just can't keep up. Well, my computer more than the game. It is slower, obviously. I mean, we're using structure blocks for this kind of stuff. Of course, once it picks a biome, it's going to take a little while to load it in there. And there's other efficiency things that I realize are a problem. But yeah, that's the main thing, though, is when it's actually summoning in these structures, it's going to get a little laggy, you know? So those are like that. Ooh, those are the various features I've improved or changed about or whatnot. But so there's a couple things still missing, and this is again one of those reasons why I want to get some community feedback. So one of the things that is, I mean, obviously there's efficiency, but one of the things that's missing still is making the pack modular. A thing I very much want to do is allow people to just be able to make a pack that works alongside it. So I would have a base pack that has no structures, and then I would have my own pack which adds my structures in, and then anybody else can have their own packs. I have some ideas for this, including things related to using entities and randomly selecting the entities, and then using a form of weighted spawning or weighted randomization to decide, oh, does this entity run its command? If the number is above such and such, then yes. If it's not, try again. So that might be one solution that I might try at some point. If somebody has a much more clever solution, I am up for suggestions. So yeah, making it modular is very important to me. I want people to basically just be able to throw in whatever structure packs they want and for it to work immediately. So that's definitely, whoa, one thing. Sorry, it's maybe a little bit of an overreaction. Well, this is one thing I need to improve. So this is technically supposed to be an underground biome. I think what I need to do is tie caves into, so it takes a spot like on the surface and it randomizes amounts below itself. Instead of just picking, so I think it's between like, it can spawn between like 50 and like 10. But if you get something like this, that's just like a really tall biome, it's like, it's at 50, yeah, it's at like 52 or something where it starts spawning at. And it just, you know, it cuts a hole into the world. It's a little awkward. That could be a little better. What else? So it doesn't work with teleportation either. So if I were to teleport, I demonstrated this in another one of my videos, but if I were to teleport out like 1,000 blocks this way, then it wouldn't be able to follow me because it needs the entity to load into the edge chunks, and if the player moves a large portion of distance in the map, it can't really detect that they've moved into an area that doesn't have the chunks loaded yet. So I need some form of detection. I don't know if maybe we could somehow detect when the player has moved 16 blocks and then do another check okay, is the bedrock directly below them, or is there not bedrock directly below them? That kind of thing. So that it can just try again if somehow the player has arrived somewhere far away. So it could run that sort of begin command that I used to start everything up. The other problem, though, is just the fact that it doesn't work with the nether. So I don't have nether or end support yet. I don't know how I would get end support to work, because currently I use that binary system to, you know, detect, oh, is there bedrock there, and or is there a barrier there? And the end is just got air at the bottom. It's empty. I would need to put something maybe at the top of the world. Maybe I put the barrier there, because who's going to do anything at the top of the end? I don't think that would really impact things. I can't put it at the bottom of the end, because then the player can interact with it too much, I think. Yeah, those are the little problems. The nether, however, if I go into spectator, the nether is really, one second. The nether is really, really laggy. I don't entirely know why. I've been having really bad performance issues because the pack's not even loaded in here, I should note. Like, I haven't loaded the pack yet. I've recorded another video, and this stuttering was not happening in the nether. So this is just a really weird thing that my computer's doing. So you'll see it doesn't have that bedrock pattern at the bottom. However, one thing I will show... oh, one second. Let me get out of here. Oh my gosh, I hate that beep noise. I'm so sorry. I need to get on that. If I find the corner, northwest, yep. And if I run that command I talked about earlier... oh, one second. Function begin. Let me go back into that, get rid of that, get rid of that. You'll notice, I mean, it does, oh, that's lava. It does permeate through the world just fine. Yeah, there's no problem there. And I just need, you know, for this, I really just need to detect netherrack at different coordinates to add structures into it. And maybe find a way, so, like, if it detects, for instance, that it's in the air, it can use that land structures function that I use in the trees to get it to the ground, so that people can have those kinds of structures. Now, it is funny, though. Some of my structures do not require any specific material to exist, I guess. Which, I guess that's... yeah, to an extent, I don't think this should be spawning in here. But for some reason, my mushroom biome does have no problem spawning in the nether. Obviously, it's full of water, and it's really weird. But it does work for whatever reason. There's actually another one that works that shouldn't work. And it actually brings up a bug that I need to brainstorm maybe a little bit. If I can find one of these real quick. So, you know that rare ore spawn that I was showing earlier? For some reason, those can spawn in the middle of oceans. Like, in... whoa. Oh! Sorry, a dungeon tried to spawn here, but there was no stone to replace, so it didn't. Okay, that's interesting. The dungeons try to spawn. That's an interesting thing. But, no, yeah, well, here's one of them. Yeah, these, for some reason, I mean, this is actually a good spot for it, but these can just spawn in midair in the nether or in mid-water in the overworld. And that's not good. And I can't figure out what I've done wrong that lets them do that. Ooh, music. Calm down here. So, let's see. Oh, there was one other funny thing I wanted to show off as the nether suffers further. So this is, funny enough, sort of a generic null biome thing. Just these monoliths. They spawn on the top of the nether for whatever reason. But if I fly around here for a bit, I should eventually... Come on. Do I have to put a command in or something to coerce it to do this? Okay, it's being a bit mean to me. So let me cohort. Yeah. What am I saying? Let me set that up pretty high. To sort of just... Yeah, so these work in the nether, which this is a really kind of almost surreal situation. Having flying grassy islands above the nether. But it happens. It's funny, but it happens. But yeah, I think that's everything silly about the nether right now. Adding the nether support wouldn't be hard. It's just automatically getting that that begin command to work is the problem. So I should explain that a little bit real quick. So I need consistency. I need the checks to sort of happen where the structure is placed in the middle of a chunk. There's a little issue where, let's say if it's on just the edge of a chunk just right, for some strange reason, I don't know if it's something about some commands like the spread players being able to load chunks or what, but somehow it can begin to like load chunks infinitely in a direction. And it's only in very rare situations, so I made it very consistent where you have to stand here and it'll sort of... Well, actually, one second. Does it do it lined up here? I can't remember. Let me get to the bottom of this real quick. Yeah, it lines it up right there. Oops, wrong way. There we go. Yeah, so basically that's the strategy. I don't think I had that lined up right, but you know, it aims at the center of the chunk just to make sure it's consistent, and that's the problem. I can't just do the command to start it anywhere when you enter the nether. If I can fix this bug another way where you can just run begin anywhere you want, then it wouldn't be a problem. Well, it would kind of be a problem, and here's the reason why. See, actually the consistency is good for possibly fixing another issue down the line. The problem is, so if we go back into the overworld here, I hope I load into chunks that I haven't already loaded. Give it a second. Or 2 seconds, there we go. Well, that's a weird location. Who in the world was it? Like, I don't know what that noise was all about. So, yeah, these chunks definitely haven't been loaded. And if I go to the bottom of the world, obviously there's nothing here. So this is where the problem lies. So let's say the grid, let's just make a tiny version of the grid real quick. Right here. Just wait up for viewers. Let's just get this tiny little version of grid built. So if you so this is the grid as it stands, except for in tiny form. So you do the begin command anywhere, and it forms a grid here. You come out of a nether portal. If you're not exactly aligned with that grid, then it would be forming its own grid, like over here or whatever. Yes. This is really slow and terrible against this layer. Just bear with me here. It'll be okay. I refuse to turn off the smooth camera mode. Nah. So it builds its own grid, which once you get back to the chunks you're already from, suddenly you've got this issue where now it's spawning them slightly next to an offset from the existing ones. I would need to think of a clever way to avoid this problem, because then you're getting then you're getting issues like, okay, let's say it picked this chunk to spawn something in, and let's say, you know, it picked this chunk and this chunk, but then it so happens that oops then it so happens that it's picked this chunk again, which means if I go back up to the top of this world, you would end up getting something possibly along the lines of this. Give me a second. Whoa, game, stop lagging. Let me pick a good one here. Come on, there's got to be a good one. So here's a funny thing: you can do this wherever you want. You can actually see the quality of the structures. Which there's another thing I didn't mention: the actual base of the structures is cool now, and it doesn't like if there's caves below, like for instance, well, this might not be a good example. But, whoa. Yeah, it'll sort of go into them just because the ground's there. Actually, yeah, I need a better example of this. Oceans aren't a good example, but it'll not go like, oh yeah, here's a good example. So if I go above here, it won't go into this cave like it used to. Anyway, what I was demonstrating is, so you've got this one, it's already spawned in a chunk, but then another one comes by and decides, oh, I'm going to spawn another one on top of it. And that's what I want to avoid. The same chunk being picked twice in a stupid way. It's a little bit of a problem, I would say. And that's why I've got to find a clever way of detecting where the player's offset is in this world. If I can figure out a way to basically align a command to a chunk in a certain way, then I wouldn't have these problems. And this is one of the major hurdles to getting the nether working. At least, you know, in a way that you can do this more than just, oh, testing it in a fun world just to see how it looks. You know, it would be nice, you know, to be able to do this on a server with friends without worrying about a friend going through the nether and then ending up in a place where it doesn't work. See, south, west, north. So if I go into this corner, oh, floaty! I'm so floaty. Yeah, let's just run the begin command here. Yeah, that works fine. So yeah, if I run this command here, and then let's see which way. Okay, TP 500 blocks this way. Turn around and decide to go back, I guess. This is the problem with teleportation too. Once you, like, if you teleport out and you make a, well, if you use another portal, teleport away, long ways away, and then go, like, to walk across the overworld back to your base, once you hit the point, oh, I'm going the wrong way. I'm an idiot. Well, yeah, I'm going the wrong way. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing, apparently. I'm like, why is this taking so long? Yeah, once you get back to where you were, it'll load in everything, and first of all, it'll probably cripple the game because it's a lot of loaded chunks. Yeah, you're seeing it's catching up through. There's one spawning here. It's lagging a little. It's taking a bit to process this, actually. You know, it's got several render distances of chunks to catch up on. Oof, this is actually really rough, though. I mean, this is definitely one of the problems. Again, if I can increase efficiency, I wouldn't have these kinds of problems. It's getting there. Give it a second. Luckily, with the way this works, chunks stop loading, so you can't outrun it in that regard. But yeah, you see where I just was now have structures in it. So if you've built a base, there is potential it will spawn structures back on top of your base, which is not a good thing. But yeah. So those are the things I want to improve. So between all of these little problems and the fact that I want to make the pack modular, I'm not sure if I can recommend people, actually try to make their own version of this pack currently. You can start working on, like, testing structures in it with how the pack works, like maybe replace some of my structures. Oh yeah, I probably should have noted there's a commented version of the pack where you can see all of my probably poorly written comments, which should help a bit for figuring out how it works and how to improve it. But yeah, definitely sort of hold off in certain ways. Here's a nice little thing. This is the same structure as previously, but it's been customized for this specific biome, which is a nice little thing that I've messed with. So yeah, there's a lot of features. There's a lot of things wrong. There's a lot of things that are better. I don't know, man. Yeah, if I missed anything in this long video, this is why there's a 6-minute summary video, because this I can talk about this for a long time. Yeah, if there's anything I somehow missed in this super long video, please comment below. Yeah, that's really about it. Comment below, chat with me. I'm on Twitter at KingCrabmaster. That's a good place to chat with me. And yeah, that should be everything. I will see you in the next video. Oh, you can also follow me on YouTube. However, keep in mind, YouTube is mostly a stream backup thing. You'll notice the thumbnails for this, but, you know, 5 videos a week, you might not be into that, and that's okay. I wish there was a way for you to subscribe to playlists. Then you could subscribe to just my Minecraft Inventions playlist, where all this kind of stuff ends up being. But unfortunately, you cannot. So, for now, you're stumbling upon this on the internet, because who wants to follow someone who puts up stream backups almost daily? I don't know, man. See ya. Depreciative humor.